And welcome back to Late Night Lately, the late night show, the podcast for cpluscomedy.com. Like I just said, it's a website. Go there. That's not at all the things I say. I don't know. It's been 3 weeks since I've done this show. And, go lay down. Go lay down. Don't come over here. Go lay down. Lay down. Go. Good Lord. This dog's getting so needy. You're not getting is and continuing to be. And now he's just sniffing inside the recycling bin. The cat's over here. I don't know if you can see her. You definitely can't, but she's like directly behind me, so he's probably gonna bother her. Anyway, this show hasn't been on for 3 weeks because late night has not been on for 3 weeks or 2 weeks. I don't know. However long it's been since the last episode. But here we are. Let's talk about some late night. All right, let's get into it. Kimmel's on his vacation for the summer. Typically Jimmy Kimmel would, I don't know, for the past couple years, have been going on vacation, getting guest hosts. Because there's after next week, the show will be on hiatus for 3 weeks because there will be no NBC late night shows. So Tonight Show and Late Night, those are going to go away for a couple weeks because of the Olympics. So I don't know what's going to happen. I'm going to have 2 episodes and I'm going to be done for the summer, I guess. But when Trevor Noah hosted The Daily Show, he would go on long hiatus. And not because of their schedules, but when Desus and Miro were on Showtime, they would go on long hiatuses during the summer. And I always hated that. I know summer's a time to get out there. There's not a lot of news, so there shouldn't be a lot of work. But, it's coming back for 2 weeks and then going away for another half a month or another month is just... I love late night. They should get guest hosts. Everyone should get guest hosts. Right now, Kathryn, Hahn and Kumail Nanjiani took over guest hosting duties for Kimmel. When everybody else was off last week, Martin Short guest hosted for Kimmel, or the week before last, rather. It's so odd to have only one show be on the air. Everybody should sync up their cycles. I know how periods work. Let's get into what happened this week in the late night. This is like the first week back after the 4th of July holiday, and Monday shows aren't always going to be the best. Actually, I don't even expect this week to be the best, but everybody did it. It's like riding a bike. Barack Obama came on to the Tonight Show to give Biden some advice. Biden was played by Fallon, and Dion Flynn, who I guess is a writer for Late Night, for the Tonight Show, also appeared as he did his Barack Obama impersonation. I remember like seeing him do the Barack Obama impersonation first. I don't know if he is a writer for the show. It just seems like he's an actor. It just seems like he's the actor that they go to for a lot of stuff when it comes to the Tonight Show. He's a funny guy. And he does look like Barack Obama. Any Hoosers. It was a fun little bit. And then Gretchen Whitmer stopped by the Late Show to talk about her new book. And she also if you don't know who Gretchen Whitmer is, she is the governor who also her life was tried by some idiots from who were Trump supporters, the ones who wanted to like go to her house and kill her and stuff like that. She's a Michigan governor. Anyway, she has this new book, and she talked and she wanted to, and she talks about supporting Biden during his trying time, which is so interesting to me. Josh Johnson has slipped into his new role as correspondent for The Daily Show. pretty well. And this week he talked to some black supporters for Trump, and he sat down with them in the classic Daily Show. 6 people in this panel aspect, and he went to talk to them, and it was the Daily Show does something very specifically, and you see it within the other shows that the Daily Show people spin off and make. When Samantha Bee did it with Full Frontal, and you saw it with the Nightly Show. You see it with just every spinoff of the Daily Show and everybody who comes from that. In that they make the people who say stupid things continually appear stupid. And it's not through editing, because they can have long shots, or people will just they'll trap people into saying, not even trap, they'll get people to say something that they are saying without they're not necessarily saying it. So if someone's like, "Oh, I hate ice cream. Ice cream is stupid." If they're not fans of ice cream, and they say like, "Oh, I don't like ice cream," then the Daily Show correspondent will be like, "Oh, so you hate ice cream?" I'm like, no, I don't hate ice cream. I just dislike it a lot, and it's probably the worst thing in the world. And I think it's the dumbest thing, and I hate it. and they'll just go and they'll talk about it in this roundabout way, and it's just always so interesting. So anyway, Josh Johnson talked to some black voters. Not all of them support Trump, but it's so strange to come into those people. Then Kenan Thompson and Bernice LaFunk appeared on Late Night this week. It's such a treat to see this made up pseudonym for or ghost this character that Kenan ghost writes for, in quotes. I think it's very funny to see Kenan do a silly bit, like reading an excerpt from his book that they had a printed out book jacket called The Scorpion Quasar, and it's just all sexy Star Wars stuff. And then some of the cast of Ghosts came to After Midnight, and they played After Midnight games. It's After Midnight has really come into its own. I think it's a very funny and silly show. And as I was watching this morning while I was stretching after my gym session and running, I was thinking it's too bad this show is on CBS. I feel as though they could have put it on Comedy Central, because in all but name it is at midnight. But I do think that it is its own iteration of that show. For me, as a comedy fan and enjoyer, I do think it's doing very well. A comedy fan and enjoyer, and I just watched Mulaney's latest special, Baby J, I believe this was called. I literally just watched that maybe a week and a half ago. I saw it on tour, and I didn't feel like I needed to see it. Also, I never see live comedy, so the fact that I saw that one on tour is insane to me. But After Midnight's really coming to its own. I'll say this: there are no slouches in this late night pack, and it's also interesting. When I watched a lot of Fallon this week. People often say that Jimmy's not a good host, or he laughs too much, or whatever. He's like the ringmaster. He has to keep the energy up. I think every single person that is hosting late night now, and people late night shows now, and people that have come before, there's reasons why they were picked. There's reasons why Jon Stewart was picked, and why Trevor Noah was picked, and why Larry Wilmore and Samantha Bee. Whoa, Jalen Brunson got a good deal with the Knicks. I'm paying attention. But there's a reason why these people were picked, and here's the reason why I bring this up. I was watching Smiling Friends. That's a show. When I worked at Adult Swim and Cartoon Network, I did not watch that show because I didn't know what it was. And we did I'm in Atlanta, and if you're in Atlanta, there's a man-made trail called the Beltline, which I am near. No big deal. It's in a gentrified and expensive neighborhoods around the city. Now they're trying to make it around the city. It's not going to work. I was hit by a car. I was on my bike, and I was hit by a car last week on July 4th. And so you may see some scrapes on my face or on my hand or whatever. It's just like this man-made trail needs to be made quicker. And it's like a lot. There's parts of it like I can get places on it and do things, but if we finish it, then I can ride. I can ride in peace anyway, and not have to hit the streets. Any Hoosers or make better street stuff. But I was watching. But for Smiling Friends, they did this Atlanta based. I don't want to say explosion, but like display on the Beltline at a very prominent spot too, which is like fantastic. They had a giant Smiling Friend display, like a huge. If you ever seen Smiling Friends, they work in a building that's a giant smiley face, and they had that giant smiley face just blown up, and it was painted on. They had like spray paint on the ground, like go see Smiling Friends, go see it, go see the display and all that stuff. And I never went to go see it, and I live truly like a 7-minute walk from that area. Or 2-minute bike ride. I should have gone to see it. I should have watched the show when it was originally on. Well, it's still on, but I should have watched it when it first aired, when I was still there. Anyway, but I was watching it, and I think in the second episode they deal with a character, or second or third, they deal with a character to try to make him smile, Mr. Frog, and he goes on Fallon, and like the caricature they have of Fallon is just laughing throughout the interview. Mr. Frog's like sitting there all drugged up or whatever. And every time, and then so then I'm watching Smiling Friend clips on YouTube. And I know if I'm on the computer, my comment section is blocked off. I have it ad blocked. I do not like I don't like reading comments. I don't like going to Reddit anymore. I'm sick of like all that stuff because people have the same hive mind. It's disgusting. And but when I'm on my iPad, when I'm on my phone, unfortunately, the comments are right there. If I pay for YouTube Premium, which I do, if I'm paying that $14 or $15 per month, however much it is, I should be able to hide comments, period. I do not want to see comments at all. I don't care. That's how people get their sadness or mental health stuff out, whatever. I don't give a hoot. I don't want to see comments, period. I'm going to be able to hide them all. But anyway, Howard. So the what was I talking about? Oh, but then I started watching clips of, because I went through both seasons, and I'm just like, I like this show. I want to see more clips of it, and I'm watching clips of it, and then I see a clip of the Mr. Frog on Jimmy Fallon thing, and then it's all, every time I watch something with Jimmy Fallon, someone in the comments writes, he's always laughing. Oh, he's the worst host. Blah blah blah. Just too bad he's laughing throughout the entire interview. Like, just he's. Sure, it's an annoying quirk, but you're commenting on a Reddit post. This is like you still use Twitter. Like it's all the same thing. Who cares? Our democracy is changing. Oh my goodness. Anyway, I do want to talk about After Midnight. It was renewed for season 2, which is fantastic. It was renewed back in June. This comes from The Hollywood Reporter, written by Rick Porter. It's going to continue its show into 2025. CBS is behind Taylor Tomlinson. I think she's doing a fantastic job. I have one issue. If I could choose one issue with this show, it is the fact that the audience is hooting and hollering for every little thing, and that really takes me out of it. That was something I did not like for At Midnight. The show's premiere week averaged 819,000 viewers within 3 days of delayed viewing, but not including streaming, which it's also available on Paramount Plus. And its social media accounts have about 900,000 combined followers as of the writing of that. For this show, and for At Midnight, it lives and dies by its social postings, unfortunately. And if I go to the TikTok page, After Midnight TikTok, I wonder how well it's doing on that platform in particular, because that's the one that people are going to flock to, as opposed to the YouTube version. So it's got 204, it's about a 250,000 followers, and then 9.6 million likes, which is nothing, but it's also not nothing. And I'm scrolling through the clips. TikTok's web interface is not good, but I'm scrolling through the clips, and some of the stuff has 9,000 views. Other things have about 100,000, or they're in the double digits. Some of them have 250,000. I don't see anything with 500,000 or 1 million or anything. They don't have any of that pinned. But that's what people see. If I click on popular, what do I get? There's some 6.8 million, some 5.2s. That's good. But there are people who do this for a living, and that's what they get out of it. But After Midnight it's still. I feel as though they're still trying to capture the magic that was at midnight, because it came at a time when Twitter wasn't bad, and when you can still mine great things out of Facebook, and when YouTube was the dominant video king, and now everything is so splintered. There's still some stuff on. People are still using Twitter for whatever. There's, I think Facebook's kind of just like a dormant place now in terms of discovery for things. YouTube has become too commercialized, so now you're focusing on TikTok, and at some point TikTok is going to become a shell of its own self if we're looking at all the social media surrounding it. But After Midnight has to utilize everything that is on the internet in order to make itself seem like it's useful out there. And what sets it apart from every late night show is that it doesn't rely on giant stars. And yes, the ghost episode with Punam Patel and Richie Moriarty and Betsy Sidaro. How do I know these names? But with all these people, I'm still looking at the TikTok. Their names are not up there. But with all of these, they have a lot of CBS stuff. There's a lot of like, oh, this guy's on a Paramount show. Oh, this guy's on this woman's on a CBS show. However, it still relies on some alternative comedians. And even though they go back to the same wells all the time, like Adam Pally's been on multiple episodes, and Lisa Gilroy's been on a couple episodes, I believe. I would love to see them vary it up to people who were on at midnight. Maybe some writers who are on at midnight, maybe some producers, because I know a lot of those comedians. And they are comedians, and they're still out there working. So it'd be great to have those people out there, but they don't have to. They don't have to have the Gretchen Whitmers. They don't have to have the Pete Buttigieg's. I'll name somebody who's not in politics. They don't have to have Scarlett Johansson. They can have just these regular working comedians, and everything be funny. Like Sandy Honig was on, and she's great, and she's not a big name. After Midnight's funny, and what's great is they started doing monologues, and that was I was supposed to do an episode about monologues, whatever. But I'll move that idea back into the idea bin. I'm sorry for not doing what I was supposed to be doing. I didn't look down because I started talking about other stuff, but they started doing monologues. And now at the top of every episode, and this is something that happened in late May or June. This is still relatively new. I have episodes on YouTube TV right now that are recorded that I could go back in like late May or early June where she did not do monologues. But now Taylor at the top of the episode, much like I'll liken it to Graham Norton, she stands in front of that video wall they have, and she does about 3 to 5 minutes. And they're all. I'm not going to say that they're all connected. They all have like one unifying story, but sometimes they do. Other times they're mostly just TikToks or talking about TikToks or something like that. But they're great jokes in front of this wall. The audience is game. And then when she finishes, she goes, all right, let's meet the panel. And then they bring out the panel, which is so much better than them going, like having the panel already out there, and then you're starting cold. It's like you're like, let's go, come on, let's go, and let's start doing jokes. Like, no, you have to with a late night. Hey, Maverick, with a late night show, you have to ease people into comedy. So, I mean, if you go to late night taping, you're gonna see an opener, and it's more than likely somebody who works on the show. I know for Conan, it was Brody Stevens for a bit. I think it was Brody Stevens, and then Jimmy Pardo. I don't know if those flip flops, whatever. Who cares? But there's openers. There's openers for shows. So for the Daily Show, we had one of the writers, and he opened the shows, and he did a set, and it was great. It's fantastic. And then they're like, all right, you ready to see some Daily Show? We're like, yeah. You have to ease people in. I can't just, if I'm going to make, eggs, if I'm going to get scrambled eggs, I'm going to have to heat the pan up. I'm going to have to put butter in the pan, get it all nice and bubbly. I'm going to prepare the eggs in a bowl, salt them up, and I'm going to have to wait for things to slowly get to form. I'm not going to, turn the thing on high, turn the stove on high, put the pan on there, wait 3 seconds, and then the pan's like super, not 3 seconds, but you know what I mean. But like the pan's super hot, and I throw the eggs on there, and they're burnt, and it's just not going to work. No, you have to ease into things. And this monologue, I think, has really deepened my appreciation for After Midnight. Truly, I think so. But also it's because I like Taylor, and I think she's a funny person. And even though I did have my trepidations about her, a woman hosting a late night show on broadcast TV, no less. So there we go. That's what it is. To say this, I'll say this about I like Kathryn Hahn. I think she's fantastic. I think she's very attractive. We'll get into my Howard Stern. She's very attractive. I listened to Jimmy Kimmel and Molly. I don't know if her last name is Kimmel, but Jimmy and Molly were on Howard Stern about a month ago, and I missed that episode, and so I listened to it, and they were talking about going on. I guess they're now in Italy with Howard and his wife Beth, and so that's still recently in my mind. this episode that I listened to 2 days ago, in its entirety. No, just the interview part. I don't want to listen to whatever they're talking about, because it's an old episode. It's from June 25th or something, or 6th, my birthday. And so I say all that because I mentioned Kathryn Hahn's beauty. She's an attractive person. But I'll say this: when they have people like Kumail Nanjiani, who was a touring comic, host an episode of Jimmy Kimmel Live, it works. It's funny, and because he can deliver jokes. Kathryn Hahn can deliver, but she's more or less acting. And it just, when they have these actors do things or who aren't presenters, it's just always like, I'm always keeping them at an arm's distance. Anthony Anderson is hosting next week, I believe, and he's coming to his own as a presenter because he hosts these shows and everything. But I think he's a funny guy. So if Kimmel leaves after this most recent contract signing, I would love to see Anthony Anderson host. They got Anthony Anderson Live. Jimmy Kimmel presents Anthony Anderson Live on ABC. All right, listen, if you like what you heard here, head to the website, cpluscomedy.com, where I talk to famous people sometimes. You can also see a video version of this show on youtube.com/C+comedy. You can see video versions of the other shows. LinkedIn Logs, which is the business jobs podcast, and the Constitutionals podcast, which is the entertainment business news podcast. Check out video versions of those. We're on youtube.com/C+comedy, and audio versions wherever you get your podcasts. You can follow us on TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at C+comedy on those platforms, at Chad Black White. Thank you so much for listening. I'll see you next time. Bye.